Hello everyone, it's Valerie from Stampin' with Valerie. I hope you are having a fantastic day. I'm having a great day. I wanted to come on and share Update Tuesday with you live tonight because it's a super cute card and I thought you might want to see it live. So here I am. So today Stampin' Up! Shared with us 3 little projects using the Beautiful Autumn Bundle. If you haven't seen the Beautiful Autumn Bundle, it is the Beautiful Autumn stamp set, and then there is a set of 3 punches. You have the oak leaf, the maple leaf, and the acorn. So those are all part of the Beautiful Autumn Bundle. Now this bundle is also part of the Gilded Autumn Suite, so it's part of a bigger set, but we are just going to be using these today. Hi Diana, how are you? Thank you for joining. So we are going to be working on this card today. This card is super cute, and of course, like I've told you, my printer just does not print Stampin' Up! Colors very well. But these are the new 2020-2022 in colors. We have some Just Jade, Bumblebee, there's some Magenta Madness in there, and of course, Misty Moonlight. So let's get started on this super cute card. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a piece of Designer Series paper. Now this is the Flowers for Every Season Designer Series paper, and we're gonna layer that onto some Just Jade cardstock. Let me grab one of my bone folders so we can get a good fold in that. Now, of course, Stampin' Up! Never gives us any measurements, so we're just gonna wing it. But looking by their photo, they have left this at 5.5 inches wide, but they have cut about 1/4 of an inch off, maybe a little bit more, but let's start with 1/4 and let's see what we have. So this is 4 inches, and then we want to make it 5.5. And I always forget 5.5 really is this line right here, and I could have just used this end for that, but I didn't. Let's see how it looks, and let's see if it looks comparable. It does. It looks really comparable to what they've done. So we're going to leave that like that. Now this paper is gorgeous because it's got that beautiful eucalyptus on there, which is one of my favorites. And if you've seen my new blog, you'll see that I have a lot of eucalyptus on there. Now they also use a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and that is what we're going to do some stamping on in just a moment. And I want to say this is probably 3.5. I'm just going to cut it 3.5 and check it for width first. Nope, a little bit smaller. We'll go 3 1/4. We're going to go 1/4 inch pieces just till we make sure we get the right, probably a little more. It's probably 3 by 5.5. So we're going to go with 3. And now I've got some little white strips I can use for something else later. But it's always safer to do it that way than to cut too much off. And look, this piece is already at 5.5, so we don't even have to cut anymore. So that's our next layer. And then they've also used some of this Misty Moonlight. Now, they have, I don't know if it's circles or if there's a die that they have used for this right underneath this edge. So I'm actually just gonna use some circles. I'm gonna cut 2 1.5 inch circles. And then I'm going to cut each of those in half because let's just make that little border with some circles instead of a die, because I don't have a die like that. And honestly, I don't even know if we have one that has that large of scallops. So I'm just going to say they use circles for that. So the first thing we'll do is just cut these in half. Now they don't have to be perfect. You can use your paper snips or whatever you have. And I'm just going to lay them out kind of next to each other, a little bit overlapping. And I'm just going to lay this on here just to see about how much we need to do. We probably don't even need half a circles. We probably just need 1/4 of them. But I don't want to take too much off. I'm going to lay them this way because that'll be easier for me to see exactly where we're going to be putting them, because they have to kind of lay over each other just a little bit. And so I guess if I bring them up a little bit. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Let's see, we'll grab that Stampin' Seal, and I'm just gonna put a line of that across here. Now this is all just kind of going with the flow here, people. So we just want a little piece of it poking out like that for each of them. Now they aren't gonna overlap where anyone can see that they are overlapping. Hopefully we're kind of getting them. That one's a little further down than the other. Oh, I know how I can do this. Come on now. Y'all should have been yelling at me. Grab your Stamparatus. Now I gotta find my Stamparatus. It's over here somewhere on one of my shelves. Alright, so here we go. I'm gonna lay this cardstock right up against there so I know where it's at. I'm gonna keep it on these lines. And then every time I put one of those little circles in there, it will be the right distance from hanging down. Yay! I don't know why I didn't think of that to begin with. I'm always touting on how great the Stamparatus is for all this type of stuff, so I should have known to do this. I'm not going to stick that one all the way down yet until I make sure I've got them kind of even. There we go. Now when we flip it over, they are the exact same size underneath. Perfect. Yay. Something new with the Stamparatus. Always fun to find something new with that. All right, let's go ahead and adhere our designer series paper down. Look at how bright that is on the opposite side of that eucalyptus. You've got those gorgeous magenta Madness roses with the bumblebee and the Just Jade leaves. Don't stick it down before I'm ready because you know I've done that before. All right, perfect. And then this piece looks like they used some dimensionals on it. So I'm gonna grab some dimensionals and we will dimensional this piece up. Oh, actually, we don't want to dimensional it up until we get our leaves stamped on there. Come on. Come on, Valerie. All right, so we're gonna be using the Timeless Label Punch, and that's going to out our sentiment. But for right now, I'm just gonna punch out a piece of that copy paper, and I'm going to set it on here because I kind of want to get an idea of where I'm going to be stamping the leaves. Now we're going to be doing some oak leaves, we're going to do some maple leaves, and we're going to do them on this paper, and we're also going to do some to punch out. Now besides those, we're going to do these long stems. Now I don't know what these leaves are. I wish I did, but I just don't. So I know these are gonna be about here. So let's grab that Misty Moonlight, and that's what we're gonna start with, is that Misty Moonlight color. And before I stamp, I'll just pick this up, but I kinda know, I'm just gonna lay it right here in the center at the bottom, so I kinda know how far out I'm going with this. And there's one at each end. So we're gonna do one the other direction. Basically the same amount of steps. And then there is a filler. So this is the two-step stamping. So we're just gonna stamp it or ink it and then stamp off once. And then we're gonna fill in those leaves. Love me some two-step stamping. Look at how pretty that is now. We've got those leaves filled in, and we didn't have to color them. Granted, now you know I like to color, so that would have been okay if I would have done that too, but we don't have to. All right, now we're going to use these small leaves. There's just a single leaf, and we're going to use some of the Just Jade, and we're going to stamp a couple of those. Just kind of in different directions. A couple at the top, maybe one down here at the bottom. You can kind of do them wherever you want. This will do them the exact opposite. And then we're gonna stamp some of these on our scrap piece of Whisper White. So now we can set this aside. I think we're done stamping directly on that. And we're going to stamp some of the maple leaves with that Just Jade. So we'll stamp probably, let's go with 4. I'm all over the place. You know what, that's kind of silly. I need to stamp them down here because we're gonna punch them out. We'll stamp them down here. And then we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take that Just Jade, we're going to stamp off, and then we're gonna fill in. And we're gonna do it again for all 4 of the leaves. They're so pretty, I love them. And then we're gonna punch these out so then we can trim some paper off and then do the oak leaves. So just grab your autumn punch pack with that maple leaf, punch them out. Try not to lose them as you punch them out because they are kind of small. So it wouldn't be hard to lose them, that's for sure. All right, so now we have 4 of those. We can set these all aside because we are done with that for this second. Now we're gonna use some of that Magenta Madness. These oak leaves are where we get that, the beautiful Magenta Madness. So we're just gonna trim this off before we stamp. And we'll probably do 4 of these too. I don't know if we're gonna use all 4 of either one of those leaves, but we're gonna do 4 of each just so we have them. And we'll do the exact same. Stamp it off. Fill in those leaves. Do any of you have this bundle? Because this is one of my favorite bundles in the new catalog. I really, really love it. It has been a great set for me so far. I have used it a lot. And I just think it's fantastic, especially with all these doing something, a project like this. It has a lot of fun colors. It's not necessarily a fall project, but we're using a fall stamp set for it. So that's what I like about some of these inspirational things that Stampin' Up! Shares with us, because they're not always how we would think to use the project. It's something new, something different, and it's fun for us. All right, we are going to do some embossing. So we're going to use, let's hope I have the right stamping emboss powder, and I do not. I need my Whisper White. All right, let me go grab my white embossing powder. For some reason, I thought that was the color that I already had on there, and obviously it wasn't. So I know we no longer have the Embossing Buddy, but I'm still going to use it because it does take that little bit of static off the paper. All right, so we are going to stamp the sentiment, "Life is better with you," and I probably should put it the right way so you can see it. Open this up to re-ink that one more time. Use that re-ink with that Versamark. Sprinkle with your embossing powder. Coat it nice and good. And then, since this is a smaller piece, we might be able to get most of that right back in the jar. And I think we did. Yay. Go us. All right, and then we're just going to heat emboss that with the heat tool. And I know you've all seen me do this before, but I'm going to do it again because it's just fun. All right, I'm gonna hold it down with my scissors so I don't burn my fingers, because this does get hot. And it does curl your paper up a little bit, so. But I'm gonna show you that in just a second. Once this starts melting, there we go. Now it's starting. Heat embossing is so fun to watch all of that embossing powder melt. So once you've got it melted, you can take that paper, just lay it down because that embossing powder will stick, and just kind of heat the back of it just a little bit, and that will help straighten the paper back out. So just a little hint from me. I'm trying to hang this up and I'm turning it on. Oh my goodness, it's not gonna work. All right. So once you have that all done, just wipe it off a little bit, get that little bit of powder off from it from the Embossing Buddy. Punch out your sentiment. Now, of course, you could have punched it and then did it first, but it's so much easier if you do it that way. Oh my gosh, hi Shannon, hi Louis. I love the Stamparatus too, Shannon, and yes, you definitely need the heat tool so you can do some embossing. It's one of the most fun things to do. One of the most fun things to do. All right, so just gonna set this here for just a second as we figure out how we're gonna add our leaves on. Now you can see in the photo, they have their leaves. Some of them are attached to the Whisper white paper and some are attached directly to the back of our punched out piece. So to the back of our punched out piece are these maple leaves. So let's grab the glue dots because that'll make it easy to attach them. Actually, you know what? We don't need glue dots. So we're gonna put those two because it's got two at each end and they kind of look like they are exactly the same. So we're just gonna lay them on there and then we will grab our dimensionals and we'll stick our dimensionals. That will hold those leaves on and we'll put one in the center. Ta-da! And then it's gonna hold it on just like that. Now, our little oak leaves we will use those glue dots for because the little oak leaves are gonna kind of poke out, and I'm kind of doing this so I can gauge where they're gonna sit on the card. It looks like they only used one on each end. So that's what we'll do. We'll do one at each end. And then we have a bow that we're gonna tie using the 2022 in color ribbon, and this is Bumblebee. So we're just gonna tie a bow, and their bow is actually pretty long. So we're gonna have long tails on this bow. And if you can ever tie a bow without having to cut it off from your ribbon spool first, that's the way to go because then you don't waste as much ribbon. We all know I'm not very good at measuring. So I like to do things without measuring. So even right now I've got two, well no, their ribbon is hanging right off the card. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have our ribbon hanging right off the card. We're just gonna trim the ends just a little bit. Now of course these are paper snips. They're not meant for the ribbon, but I'm using it for the ribbon anyway. I'm going to add a glue dot to that. I'm gonna leave it stuck on there for just a second while we get this ready to add to the card. This is a pretty long piece, so we're just gonna add a couple of extra dimensionals on here because we're going all the way across the whole card. Usually my pieces are a little bit smaller. They're not quite this long. So we'll just add some extra on there. Never hurts. More dimensionals is better than not enough dimensionals. That's all I'm saying. Yes, I agree with you too, Melissa. Embossing on a bigger piece of paper and then punching out helps keep the paper from blowing around as well. 100% with you on that. All right, so now this is another, goes end to end, so we can make sure it's in the right place. We've got our bow with our glue dot on it. Now before we stick this down, I'm just gonna kind of set that bow there, but not totally stick it down yet. because I want to make sure I have it in the right spot before I stick it all the way down. Because I did not practice this card earlier. And that actually looks like it's in the right spot. Oh, I did a pretty good job of guessing on that one. Now I'm sad I can't see my little oak leaf, so I'm going to add another one. And I almost feel like, because that bow is under there, let me get it, there we go, out from under that leaf there. That looks better. It was just a little bit too much. I'm going to add that extra oak leaf so it pokes out from there. Now, in the photo for the embellishments, they used some of these wonderful gems that are on page 31. I don't have any of those because I gave them away. I do that sometimes. I give away little gifts. So I'm going to use some of the elegant faceted gems instead. These are gorgeous. I don't know if you have them, but they are fantastic. If you don't, you need to get some, just because they are sparkly and beautiful. Even if you don't want them, you need some. Just saying. All right. We'll just add one right there. I love these ones. These are clear, but they have a, I don't know what you would call it. I want to say it's a checkered pattern on them, but it's not checkered. But that's kind of what the cut looks like on them. And so we've got the clear ones, we've got the white with the glitter, and these ones are in petal pink, I believe. They're all beautiful. So let's add one more. We'll do a small one of the white glittery ones. So there you have it. That is today's Update Tuesday card. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope I'm showing this in the camera. Sometimes I'm never sure if I'm in the camera or not. But it was super fun to make. I hope you make one for yourself. And if you see all of these little bats and things that I have here, I have a cute Halloween project that I'm going to be posting tomorrow. So please check out my post tomorrow and my blog tomorrow. Yes, Melissa, it saves your hands from the heat. And Shannon, me too. I absolutely love how everything with Stampin' Up! Coordinates, so you can use it all together. I love that too. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you tomorrow for One Card Wonder Wednesday. Bye.